so let's share our screen. And today we're going to talk about how to sell your home in 2020. So everybody knows we are going through a pandemic, and that creates challenges for us, but houses are still selling, and that's what we're going to go over today. Is the state of the market, the fact that owners have equity, the fact that buyers can get money from the banks, the local statistics, and if you're thinking of selling, what is the next step? What's the plan? So for most of my career, I got into real estate in 1995, yeah. Most of my career, sellers or owners were staying in their home 5 to 7 years on average. Well, of course, when everything fell apart in 08 and 09, people started staying in their homes longer. So right now we are experiencing sellers who are staying in their home longer. According to Realtor.com, let's move this thing up. So despite the crippling and ongoing coronavirus pandemic, lots of people out of work, a recession, racism, contentious presidential election, the real estate market is staging an astonishing rebound. We feel that. I actually just got off the phone with a fellow that was asking me, what's the market look like? I'm thinking about doing this. What's the temperature of the market? So, that's a good place to start with a phone call. There we go. Okay, so this is no big surprise to me. This is from Showing Time, and what they do is set up appointments for real estate agents who want to go and look at houses. So when COVID started at the end of March and pretty much all April, everybody tightened up because, nobody knew what was going on. I mean, we were kind of all in shell shock. But after folks started figuring it out, they started to stick their head back out of the sand and get back out there and look at properties again. So, people are moving around. Back in April, Realtor.com did a survey. And back then they said, people wanted more interior space, outdoor space, updated kitchen, better technology. In July, this number 3, the move from the city to the suburbs, I found quite interesting because people, are kind of wanting to get out of those congested places because of COVID, obviously. According to John Burns Consulting, and that's what they do is consult people, they're predicting the Great American Move. They're predicting, again, people moving out and getting some elbow room. I mean, it's kind of crazy to watch how things happen. A few years ago, everybody was moving closer to town and, being part of that tight-knit community, and they didn't have to drive and, deal with all the traffic and whatnot. They were right there. So, but now they're like, we don't know about this. So they're kind of running out of town. Seller traffic index. So for most of the country, seller traffic, meaning them putting their homes on the market, has been weak to very weak. Buyer traffic, on the other hand, look at South Carolina, very strong. So a lot going on there. So, and as well as I do, as buyer traffic, the demand is up, sellers aren't putting their home on the market, prices go up. So that's something to think about. Average days on the market's about 30 days. So owners have equity. 60%, and all of homes in America have at least 60% equity. 42% own their home free and clear. So, chances are very good that you have equity. So I remember back in 08 and 09, the market took everybody's equity away, took my equity out of my house. So, and just, it was a tough time. But now, because things are so strong, the market has given us our equity back. And I love that. Mark Fleming, he's with First American Housing Supply. remains at low levels. Price growth is likely to slow but not go negative, meaning prices won't go down. I think this is a very interesting slide. So let's say you bought your home 5 years ago. You would have made $15,000 in principal payments, but the market, your price appreciation, gave you back $64,000. So that's just the whole supply and demand things. You know, obviously, the longer you owned it, you've paid down more, but the market's giving you back more equity. So again, very interesting slides. Across the United States, homeowner equity. In South Carolina, the average homeowner has $10,000 in equity. So buyers can get money. This I think is really telling. So of course, when COVID hit, the market tightened up and people were not going out there to get purchase applications to buy a home. But, you know, sometime in May, again, people started sticking their head out of the sand. Remember that slide before where they were looking with showing time? So a little bit in April, you know, they started looking at houses. So those purchase applications have not, you know, they fell right in step with it. I'm going to skip this slide and go to this one. So before the crash, there's a lot of hanky-panky going on, and they were giving loans to people that shouldn't have gotten loans. You had some predatory lending going on where, you know, they were lying about what people made. The loan officers were doing that. So since then, since the crash, they tightened up on people. They really tightened up on people. I mean, you had to sign over your firstborn child there for a while and give them some blood. They have loosened up a good bit. Now they're still going to make you jump through some hoops and explain certain things, but you know, honestly, they should have done that in the beginning and we wouldn't have had that huge crash that we had. And I mean, that was just pure greed. That was just pure greed. But so this is for your own good. You know, they're making sure you're not buying more than you can afford. So they're giving out money. So let's go to local stats. Let's go to MLS. So I pulled this right before I got on this webinar. In the last 7 days, and this is the Greenville MLS, in the last 7 days, there have been 465 new listings hit the market. 401 have closed. Right now, there's 1,163 pending. So, you know, things are moving. I mean, you can clearly see that things are moving. So I like pointing that out. Let's go back to this. So, current slide. Okay. So let's talk about housing supply. And if you're thinking about becoming a seller and then hopefully becoming a buyer, here are some things to consider. So depending on how many months of inventory there are, depends on if it's a seller's market or a buyer's market, or if it's right in the middle, a neutral market, which means there's enough supply to adhere to the demand that's out there. So here's the deal in Greenville, and these are the most up-to-date numbers. Let's say you're in the $300 to $350 price point of what your home is worth. Right now, there is 4 months of inventory. Go back up here, less than 6 months tells me we are a seller's market. Let's go 550 to 6. There's 7 months of inventory. That's a neutral market. Getting ready to be a buyer's market. Back down at 550 to 7, we're 10 months of inventory. That's a total buyer's market. So that's one thing to consider if you're a seller. Now, if you're a buyer, what this means to you. Let's say you're buying you're or selling your 350 home, you know, stepping down to something smaller because the kids have left, and you're going to go 250 to 3, still a seller's market. What's that mean? Well, let me go to talk to you with a big face. What does that mean? Basically, it means that if you're buying something that is a price point within a seller's market, you as a buyer have to be pre-approved or have your cash, have your pre-approval letter. You've got to be working with an agent who is watching the market like a hawk, because when it hits the market, you got to move. You got to go, because chances are it might not hang around. You've got to be educated. And what I mean by that is you've got to know what our contract looks like, because we've got to fill in certain things in that contract, and that's going to help us put you in the best light when it comes to negotiating your new home. So we want to give the seller on a purchase, we want to give them the best looking contract that we can. So if you are buying something that's in a buyer's market, let's say you're moving up, you're selling your little house and you're moving to a bigger house because your family's grown, things may be different. And let's say you're moving up to that 600 price point, then you can be more picky. You can be more demanding, possibly. It just depends on, you know, pockets. So, because you got, you know, everybody hears right now that it's a seller's market, but depending on the price point, it's a buyer's market. So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled at all. So let's go back to sharing the screen. Got a couple more things I want to go over. What do you need to do right now? Number one, you need to have strategy. You need to have a plan. So if you own a home, let's do a professional equity assessment. Let's see how much equity you do have. You know, I have some owners that I've met with that have a lot of equity, and then others that I'm kind of surprised they've not had more. But it just, again, is all about the supply and demand that's going on around you. So, and I mean, it's hyper local. I mean, if you zoom in to a mile radius, that's hyper local. Safety, obviously, we adhere to all the safety standards put out. You know, back in the past, we just had to worry about safety from the criminals. Now we've got to worry about the criminals and the COVID. So, I mean, we're disinfecting and wearing booties and masks and gloves. And I mean, we're doing everything we can to work with those folks who go and need to buy a home or have a desire to buy a home. The second thing that I know is most buyers start their search online. So you need to have an agent who has a robust online presence, who uses the technology such as Zoom, like we're doing right now. I mean, we're doing virtual showings, and I mean, you got to have somebody, you know, you can't have an agent who's still running around with a flip phone. So that's not good. Not if you're going to be a realtor that's selling a lot of property and have, you know, confidence that your agent's going to be Johnny on the spot and know when things hit the market. So as a homeowner, there's a couple of different ways you can sell your home. Obviously, let's go to the bottom. You can, I call this HGTV ready. So you can be HGTV ready. So it means you've done all the bells and whistles, you got granite, you've staged it, you've got rid of all your clutter. So not so many people do that. More people will fix the defects, sell them a good home, you know, a good solid home at a fair price. You got that. Or as is, I don't want to do anything. My house needs more repairs than I can afford or that I even want to look at. So with that, you may get less money because you're going to be dealing with investors. So, and we can look at all of those things and assess which one's going to be best for you. Your price is going to impact how many eyeballs you have looking at you. So, I mean, if something is a really good deal, you're going to have a lot of eyeballs looking at you. you're going to have an auction-like effect. If you're at market value, you're going to have about 60 to 75% of the eyeballs looking at you. If you know, are trying to find a needle in a haystack, or you've got something that, you know, you just got one specific buyer and, you know, you want the top of the market, there are buyers for that. They're a little harder to find. You're only going to be having about 10% of the eyeballs on you. So then from there, really it's, you know, hiring a professional, getting the marketing out there. You know, we're here as a buffer between you and the buyer and helping make sure you're legally protected. If you do have any questions, please reach out to me. My cell phone is 864-380-5590. I don't know if you've been hearing it buzz here beside me, but reach out to me. I am here to help and answer any question you've got. You can text me, private message me, whatever you need to do, but reach out to us and we can start that conversation. It's no obligation. And then if you are on the buy side, we can get one of my agents to help you do that and make sure you don't miss anything before it hits the market. Thank you so much. I hope you reach out to us and hope you have a great day. Bye.